is always fine. Come whenever you can. So feel into your seat. Oh, here comes somebody. Get situated. See if you can get as comfortable as possible while still maintaining a nice tall posture. Check in with that breath. How does it feel? Is it short and choppy, long and smooth? And the first step is awareness, and then the second step is shifting into that diaphragmatic breath. So maybe one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Let your belly rise with your inhale and soften with your exhale. Maybe feel the heartbeat with your upper hand. So we want to feel the bottom hand moving more than the top hand. If your top hand's heaving, that's putting us into fight or flight. Or not us, but you. So you want to go into rest and digest. So making sure that your belly is doing most of the moving. You're welcome to keep your hands there if you like, or you can just drop them onto your lap. Maybe the eyes closed or you're gazing down, just so you can focus on your intention. So thinking about what you want to dedicate your practice to today. Or how do you want to feel? And you can take your hands to heart center, let your thumbs connect with that breastbone. Taking your chin down towards your fingers, sealing in your intention. We'll lift the gaze and drop the hands. I thought I'd try to do a little bit more of what we'll call self-care yoga today, so I can give it a name when I post it on YouTube. So in case you're looking up something like, what do I need? Like a very gentle, this is what today's hopefully will end up being. So we're going to start with those hands, warming up the hands with our whole sequence here. I'm going to start with the right hand and warming up along the spinal lines. I'll get a little closer so you can see. We've done this one before. So you're going to rub right along that edge right there with the palm of your other hand. Oops, right there. 2 cameras. Just about 10 times. That's way more than that now, but that's okay. And then take a fist with your opposite hand. So you're still working on your right hand. I'm not mirroring you. And you're going to mortar and pestle effect. So it's just kind of pushing in and massaging. So think of if you've ever rolled your feet on a tennis ball. It kind of has that effect. Only with your hand. And then we're going to take, I don't know why I sat down. So we're going to take the thumb of the left hand and we're going to creep it across like this. I'm creeping it all the way across from pinky edge over to index finger edge. And keep the shoulders relaxed. We'll keep the breath flowing. I usually take 3 or 4 little creeps across. And we're going to go back to the pinky, bottom of the pinky. We'll do each finger, creeping all the way up. So the left hand's doing all the work, the right hand is receiving. I'm going to go over the hand, all the way down to the wrist, and then start in on the next finger. Bring your breath into your practice. So what are you breathing into? Fingers, the hand, the joints of the hand. Index finger. This is nice to do with lotion too, especially if your hands are really dry. All right, grab a hold of your thumb gently but firmly and just kind of bring it. Might might as well take it around, work into that joint, right? And then the wrist. So I'm going to grasp around the wrist and just take some circles here with that hand. And then feel the difference. Just take a moment, open and close. This hand feels like it wants to float away. We'll go to the other hand. So along the spinal line with your opposite palm. And then mortar and pestle. So we're going to take the fist. Sorry, I keep going back and forth. I keep letting people in to the class, which is fine. So get in there and massage that palm. Okay, and then we're creeping across the palm. So we start at the bottom with your thumb, creep all the way across. You're pressing, press, press, press. I don't know how you would do it if you had really long nails. When you can't go any further, you reach the base of the knuckles, start at the bottom of the pinky, and go all the way up and over until you get to the wrist. Mindfully. You could breathe into your hands. Get to your thumb, we're going to just work the thumb around and then rotate it. Grasp your wrist and circle that hand. Both directions. All right, and then just feel again, hopefully they match. Two happy hands. Spread that ease around the body. So just thinking about the elbows, we're working into the elbow joints next. Just kind of circling here. Go around in the other direction. We finally got rain. I don't know how long it's been since we got rain. So we were having a nice, big, heavy storm. And it lowered the temperature. Ooh, it's quite lovely here now. All right, so I'm going to pick up one shoulder. We're done with the wrists and the elbows, and roll it back. Pick up the other shoulder. You roll it back. Good. Really thinking about how much range of motion. So I'm picturing, of course, the shoulder joint, the shoulder blade, how it can get a little stuck back there. Especially if we're tense and we're holding this, right? We don't move a lot, so really just thinking about slow, gentle movements. Then we'll continue on with thinking about shoulder blades. So we're going to take those arms out and then bring your forearms together. So maybe the pinky edges touch. Inhale and open. And when I open, I'm trying to open as far back as possible to stretch the front of the shoulders. You can add a nod here too. So I'm going to exhale, bring the chin down, and inhale, bring the chin up a little. All right, last one opening here. And this time when we're exhaling, we'll just take a hug. So just pay attention to which hand is, or which arm is on the bottom. I'm going to bring those fingertips toward each other in the back, and again, take your chin down toward your chest. And see if you can bring your breath up between those shoulder blades. We'll, again, pay attention. If you're like me, you'll forget real quick which arm you had on top. So I'm going to switch the cross of the arms dramatically. Opening, and then hug. And since we're working on self-care, I think it's probably written backwards on the video, but anyway, self-care, why not? Give yourself a little hug and a compliment. Tuck your chin. Release those arms open as wide as you can. And we're going to take hands to heart center. Okay. All right, so I'm scooting my feet in without mentioning it. So making sure that my feet are grounded down. So I'm squeezing that imaginary block to twist gently to the right. And inhale back to the center. And we're very limited on how far we're going to the left, on how far we can twist, especially if we're not using the hands. So we're just using this as a little pump for the digestive system. Using my abdominals to do the moving. And we're twisting on the exhale. So we'll do a couple more. And the next time we come back to your right, we'll stay there and drop your hands and be in the twist. This is where I can deepen the twist. I'm going to start to turn my heart even a little bit more toward the right and the gaze over toward the right. On your inhale, gently come back to the center. Feel the imbalance. You can start here with hands at heart center and then deepen into the twist here. With your hands, you can hold the armrest, the chair, but don't ever force the twist. If you bring your gaze back behind your left shoulder, you'll feel it a little bit more. And back to your center. All right, let's take a few cat-cows here. Exhale, tuck the chin, really arch the spine, stretching those spinal muscles. On the inhale, draw your heart forward as your hands glide back. Good, go back and forth. So I'm even using the knees on my exhale. On the inhale, I'm drawing the hands back in, sneaking in a little massage for the legs. After this inhale, come back through just hang out in mountain pose. Yeah. And then check in with your posture. See if you're leaning forward and you didn't realize it. Don't beat yourself up, we're all there. And then take your chin down towards your chest. We're gonna trace the collar if you had it around a swoop neck collar shirt. Slowly and gently. So I might even be going too fast. I want to go as slowly as possible. And feel those little bumps along the way. Those nice little speed bumps. Deepen the breath. All right, so the next time we come over to the right shoulder, we're going to hold on. I'm going to hold on to my legs and then tilt my head back. So I can feel the stretch all along that side of the neck. Bring your face back to neutral and easy, easy back to the center. Take a shrug and a release. Good. If you're at home and you're not worried about cooties, you can exhale really loudly with an open mouth. What we can't do in a group class, right? Or you could, I guess. I'm still kind of creeped out about that. All right, so chin coming down, leftover COVID vibes. We're reaching our head over to the left, anchoring. Why do I anchor into my legs so this shoulder doesn't follow? So everything's stabilized so I can tilt this head back and feel the stretch in the neck. And gently tilt your face back down toward the floor. Bring it all the way back to neutral and another big giant shrug and an exhale. I could have done longer. Let's do longer exhale. Good. All right. We're going to scoot back. If you're not already there, scooting back into your chair. And we'll think about that leg coming out, the right leg coming out, reaching with your heel, and take your opposite arm up. Well, the first couple of ones, we'll just get the movements down. So it's just opposite arm and leg. We're going slow to connect with the breath. So we'll worry about cardio in another time. So I want to connect with the breath and lengthen through the limbs. So now I'm going to think about really reaching through that heel, and then not passive unless you have shoulder issues, but actively reaching up. So I can feel that newly stretched out arm and then reaching it down. So let's see if we can, ooh, I feel very imbalanced already. So reach. See if we can do this with the breath. And of course, you're going to mind your own limitations. Let's say if you have any issue here, you could stop anywhere along the way, but just really try to get something to reach and stretch. And this in turn is going to affect the spine in a good way. All right, I think this is the last one here. And float it down. Take another shoulder shrug, let it go, and we're going to laterally stretch the spine. So make sure you're upright first, nice and tall, and then we'll tilt over side to side from here. If you wanted to add an arm, that will deepen the stretch. All right, so we're going for a true lateral stretch. If you're anchoring, leaning forward at all, it takes some of the lateralness out of the stretch. Good. So the goal isn't to see how far over we can go. The goal is to feel, ooh, that feels really good. That feels really good moment on both sides. And we're going to come back. We need to even things out. So I'm going to hip walk toward the edge of the chair and take the feet out. We'll just take some slow, easy circles around with the torso. Exhaling as you're leaning forward, inhale as you're coming up. And going in your comfortable range of motion, of course. Go around in the other direction. And then we'll come back to neutral, take a few cat-cows, exhale, round the spine, inhale, lift up through the heart. And again. We'll just come back to our wide-legged mountain pose. And we did gate last week. Let's do gate pose again. So I'm scooting off to, let's see, that would be your left. And then I'm going to take this left leg off to the left. Doesn't matter which side, we'll do both. And then I'm going to try to straighten that leg out. My heel's down, toes are up, but the knee is not locked. It's really easy to lock the knee. We don't want to do that. So I'm going to try to not put pressure on knee, of course. I'm going to start here, hands on the hips, and then leaning toward that extended leg. And maybe taking the top arm up. Maybe the bottom hand can find the thigh or the shin. I'm going to take the palm and make it go forward. So we're not bouncing here, we're just going to hold and breathe. And then use your core muscles, the pelvic floor is in there too. So come back up. Ooh, we're going to windshield wiper in between sides because it was so deeply asymmetric. So I'm going to lift the heels with the feet wide and dropping one knee down and then the other, only if you have a safe chair environment. And I'm also going to turn the head in the opposite direction of the knees. And then we'll come back to neutral. Scoot on over to the other side. So it's like my left thigh is right in the middle and then the right leg extends. We square up the torso, that's what this is called, and then the shoulders, right? So we're not twisted at all. So it's that lateral stretch again. And we'll reach the left arm up, palm facing away, and just hold here. Not forcing anything either, so just a hold and a breathing, and we're aware of what's going on. Using your pelvic floor and your core muscles to come back through mountain pose. Great deal of effort. And let's take those feet out wide again. So just a couple of circles to neutralize everything in the low back. Just, I did one in each direction. You can do a couple if you like. Okay, let's windshield wiper again, and then we'll go into our seated lunge. So just a couple of these guys, since we already have things warmed up. And right leg's gonna come out into the front. Watch your knee. If your knee is yelling at you, maybe you skip this one and just sit and be aware with your breath. So if you want to, if you need to take your knee forward a lot, that will take some of the pressure off. If you want to deepen the stretch, your knee's going straight down. You can think about your hip flexors here. That's what we're stretching. And the front of the thigh. If you want to reach deeper into those areas, you can extend your arm, your right arm up. I always like to sneak in that overhead stretch as well with the arm, but you got to stack your shoulders back up over your hips. So if you were in the kind of a back bend, bring it forward and then go over your head. Ooh, that feels so good. Breathe here. Use your core muscles to come back. Core muscles to come back to mountain pose. Seated mountain pose. So what is the benefit of this? Why do we do this every time? So many benefits. So as we're in the pose, I'll just start talking. You don't have to have your arm up if you don't want to. So as we're seated for a long time, our hip flexors get really tight, and that can lend to back pain. It can add to issues with digestion. Hip pain, right? And we're keeping our knees healthy too. It's a nice stretch for the knees and the bottoms of the feet. All right, so we're going back to shoulders over hip, and then we'll reach overhead. Use your core muscles to come back, drop that arm, come back to mountain. To the edge of your chair, push into your floor with those feet. And release. So let's, actually we're gonna lift up the heels and we'll get our ankle rotations in with a little resistance. So we're going all the way around the bottoms of the feet in both directions. All right, and then plant those feet, squeeze your thighs as if you had a block there, and release. Good. Keep doing that. So it's a push, it's a squeeze, everything below belly button is working, but don't forget to release. So it's not just an actual outside I can see or releasing, it's the internal muscles as well. They get to stop clenching. So I'm going to push, squeeze, add a secondary push, squeeze. I'm pushing into the thighs, squeezing the shoulder blades, and now we're working on posture. Then let it go. So we'll do that one more time, and then an option to come up to standing. Let it go. All right, so you're welcome to stay seated. I'll try to remember to incorporate my words to include people who are staying seated. So I'm gonna lift the hips and come into a little bit of a chair pose here as I'm breathing. And then I'll come up to standing. We're gonna come back behind the chair. I have to scoot my mat back a little bit. Sorry for all the noise. Speaking of noise, I play back the videos before I put them on YouTube, and I could hear Claire breathing. She sounds like she's doing her Ujjayi breath, which is good and healthy, right? So walking your feet, walk the dog. Your feet are hip distance apart. Maybe you're peeling your feet up, your heels up, and you could do this seated as well in your child's pose. I'm going to bend those knees a lot. We're going into warrior one. So if you're seated, you're taking that right leg forward. If we're standing, we're grounding down through those feet. And we're just gonna hold onto the chair with the right hand for now. And then inhale, left arm's gonna come up. And as I'm reaching up, we're gonna have that same effect as we did with our seated lunge. So I wanna work into this hip flexor and actively reach, and then soften and lower. Bottom half is doing nothing. Top half's doing all the work. So let's do 2 more. Inhale, lift that left arm, grounding down through that left heel. And then maybe we hold this here, maybe we take the other arm up. Exhale, lower those arms, come back through your down dog, or if you're seated, take that child's pose where you're leaning forward and stretching your back. We're gonna look forward, engage the core. Where are we at? Left leg stepping forward. Forgot already, jeez. All right. I can't wait to see what our hand exercises are gonna look like. So make sure you feel nice and stable. We're taking the right arm and reaching it up. Feel all that stretch right through that hip flexor, and exhale down. Let's do one more. After that one. And maybe both arms come up and we hold into our warrior one. How's your breath? On your exhale, float your arms back down. We're coming back to down dog. Walk your feet forward. If you're seated, push into your lap. You're having that push squeeze, so you can elevate the spine. I'm reaching up into a modified up dog. And then come back and take a moment. Feel the feet, feel how your body feels in this mountain pose. Then we'll take the feet wide for warrior 2. So let's do, since we're being extra gentle today, take the hands to the hips. I'm sneaking my feet in just a little bit and turning the toes out just a tiny bit, just a couple of degrees. And then we'll bend into the right or left knee, it doesn't matter, one side. We're going to try to keep the knee over the toes. If you can't, then you take those feet further apart. Just stretching out the inside of that other leg, go to the other side. How's your breath? And we're coming back. Turn all 10 toes forward just to start out, so we get that left foot in the right position. Then we'll turn the right toes for warrior 2. We're going to bend into that knee, let it stop right over the ankle. Square those shoulders up with your hips and shoot those arms out. Arms are always optional. One modification you could do if you're taking care of shoulders is bending at the elbows and turning your palms up. Let's stretch a little bit more into the neck, and also a balance challenge. So if you're not up for the balance challenge, just stay looking at your tip of your right middle finger. If you want to turn and look toward your other fingers, nice and slowly, and then back to your right fingers. Big breath in. On your exhale, release those arms. We'll straighten the leg, turn your toesies. Let's go to the other side. Throw that right shoulder back so it squares up your torso with your hips. And we'll bring the arms out. Taking our traditional warrior 2 with our drishti or gaze at the tip of the left middle finger. And then decide if you want to take that gaze over to your other hand. And then back to your left hand. Big breath in. On your exhale, release those arms. Okay, we'll straighten the leg, turn the toes in. You can heel toe in or just walk your feet back in. So seated or standing, we're going to lift and lower the heels. If you're seated, you want a little bit more work, resist into your legs. I'm also lifting the rest of the foot, might as well, right? So I'm lifting heels on the exhale, trying to lift the rest of the foot, well, feet, yeah. All right, and then maybe stay lifted. Maybe take one arm up, maybe two arms up. Can we sink it into chair pose or that push squeeze from here? Lower the heels, sit the hips back. Everything below belly button is working. And we can take the hands to heart center. And then maybe take one arm open, and then the other arm open. Oops, right into my chair. And then release. Come up. And we'll take our feet wide. Do little kidney taps. It's nice and easy. And let's see, where do we want to go? We want to go into balance, I think. That's what we want. I can hear all of y'all. Yay! So it's also going to work the core muscles. Modify as you see fit, as always. So pushing into the floor with those feet. Checking in with the posture. Posture is very important. Ear holes over the shoulders. We'll have the right foot going down into the floor, and the left heel can lift and lower. The left leg can lift and lower. So if you don't have to hold on, try not to, but if you need it, by all means, use a wall, use a chair. This is core, right? This is hip. And maybe we hold it up. Lower it down, press it down, and just for symmetry purposes, we'll sit the hips back, chair pose. And come back up. It's the other side's turn, pushing down into the floor with the left foot. You can start out with the heel lifting and lowering. Check in with your posture. If you want the whole leg to lift, you can try that. So do it with face and mouth awareness. Are you holding anything, clenching, tension? You can hold the leg up. And lower, press it down into the floor. Take another chair pose or a push squeeze. Everything below belly button's working, whether you're seated or standing. All right, we're coming back up. So just in case that bothers somebody's back, here's what you can do. Just pause and take some hip circles. Oh, try not to get distracted. I see a big spider crawling across my floor. He's going that way. All right, so right leg's grounded down into the floor. So instead of lifting and lowering, we're going to see if we want to circle the hip. You can do this seated or standing. Around in the other direction. How's your breath? Staying in your comfortable range of motion. All right, plop that foot down. Yes, we're taking another chair pose. Draw the belly in, pelvic floor is working. And then we'll come back. The other side, so grounding through your left foot. And then the right knee is circling. I think the spider's staring at me. Go around in both directions. How's your breath? We're gonna plop that foot down, take a chair pose. We're not done with balance. So come back up. We're gonna take a down dog and then an up dog and then come back to balance. So stretching out the back will make it a little easier, a little bit more user-friendly. I'm trying to point the tailbone straight back instead of down. Walk the feet forward into upward facing dog. And come back to a mountain pose. All right, you do whatever you like with your hands. Hold on or not. Right foot's holding us up. And this time, left foot's coming out into the front, and we can point and flex. Full range of motion. You could do this seated, right? Seated or standing. Halfway, if you're not comfortable pointing and flexing in midair, just heel toe onto the floor. And then do rainbows. So we're gonna do circles. Check in with your breath. Both directions. And then like you're slow motion stomping that foot back into the floor. Feel the imbalance, feel the difference. Check in with your breath. All right, last little tidbit here. So rooting down through your left foot, right leg's coming out, and making sure you're not locking that standing knee. A little softness there is kind to the body, point and flex. Circles. Both directions. And then we'll press that foot down into the floor. We're going to take a wide-legged chair pose. If you're seated, it doesn't matter if your legs are wide or not. We're drawing the hips back, heart's reaching forward, and give a little press to those hands so we can get some work. Isometric press. And then we'll come back up. All right, from here, let's take a warrior two again. So we're just widening the feet even further. I'm going to turn the right toes and notice which direction your pinkies are pointing. So if they're aiming on a diagonal, bring them back toward the front. And then we're going to take the fingertips together. Elbows are right in alignment with the shoulders. So they're not winging up or down. And then you can karate chop those arms out. We'll take a reverse warrior. Drop your left hand, flip your right hand, and see how softly and gently you can be in this pose without straining a darn thing. So no strain in your neck or face. If you need to look down, that might be a nice option. Let's bring ourselves back through warrior two. And take a little side angle so you can drop your hands and just take that nice easy side angle if you wanted to reach your left arm up, or maybe reach it over. We're good and stretched out in the side body, so it should feel good. Core is working. Re-engage it. If it went on vacation, engage your core, your pelvic floor to come back through warrior two. Big breath in on your exhale, release your arms. We're taking a down dog. Walk your dog, invite fluidity back into your body in case there was clenching going on. Okay, and then we'll come back up from your mountain pose. We'll take the feet wide for warrior 2 feet. Bring those fingertips together. We might as well turn the left toes first, bend into left knee, and karate chop those arms out. Very lovely. So we're in warrior 2, be there. Noting what you feel, not resisting anything, we're going with the flow. Excuse me. You can drop your right hand, flip your left hand, and reach your arm up for reverse warrior with ease. Come back through warrior 2. Take your side angle, any variation. You want to keep your shoulders stacked in alignment with that knee. You can reach your right arm up if you like, or even reach it over your head. We're trying not to put a ton of pressure on that leg, so you can use more core muscles. Then re-engage core, pelvic floor to come back up through warrior 2. Release those arms, come back up, shoot back to down dog. Walk your feet forward, come into your upward facing dog. Pushing into your lap if you're seated, lift up through your heart. And we're coming back to, let's take an active Tadasana. So we're gonna start here. Look at your feet, make sure your toes are level. We're feeling into the bottoms of the feet. Feel the head in that right posture. We'll start very active with the fingers shooting energy down into the floor. And then we'll start in some passiveness. We're going to turn the palms in toward the pants and then take a nice little side to side here. Just kind of loosening things up even further. Good. All right, and then come on back. Make sure you're not locking your knees. We're going to take that right arm all the way up. Pat yourself on the head or find the back of your head. We're going into Gomukhasana. Yep. So give it the little, where'd that spider go? Give it the little help. We're going to hold on to the elbow, that right elbow, to try to send your fingers further down your spine. Maybe you stay there, right? That's wonderful. If you want to deepen the pose, we're going to take that left arm back behind you. You can take it at parade rest, or you can try to shimmy your hand up your spine. You can hold your shirt if you don't have a strap. Oh boy, this feels good. Press your head back into that wrist. Good. Chin should be parallel to the floor. We're going to release the bottom hand, soften the knees a lot, and then release the top hand so much so that you're leaning forward and you can just circle and wave that arm around. Come back up, shrug, release, feel, and go to the other side. So we have left arm coming up, pat yourself on the head, on the back of the head, crawl your fingers down, find that elbow. I look like I'm shoving it back, but I'm trying to be gentle in guiding it kindly while keeping the chin parallel to the floor. Maybe that right hand comes back to parade rest, or you can find your fingers coming toward each other. Cow face pose. And then we'll release the bottom hand. Gently, gently release the top hand and get stiff in the back as we're doing that. So that's why I'm bending the knees and just releasing here. Releasing the shoulders, circling the arm in both directions. And then we'll come up and give it one more shrug. Let it go. All right, so if you're already seated, scooch around and feel like you're being reseated. So you're putting pressure on different parts of the bottom if you can. If you're coming down to seated now, we're coming in through chair pose. So if you've already sat down, pop back up. Make sure your feet are level and think of it as a challenge to go nice and slowly. Okay, all right. So once you're seated, we'll think about core. Here we go. And we'll do this one again. So holding on to, if you have a nice heavy water bottle, that's nice for a weight. You don't need a weight. I'm not going to use one today. I'm going to use my imaginary weight and like isometrically engaging the core. So I'm leaning back and we're going to draw a spiral. So start out small and then gradually get a little bigger. Use those core muscles. And if you have low back issues, stay small and keep your elbows bent. So I can't get any bigger, I don't think. So I'm going to spiral around the other direction. Start big and then go small. Good. Keep breathing. Wow, if you weren't working up a sweat, maybe you are now. Well, maybe it's just me. I don't know. All right, all the way back to the center and bring it in, especially if you have a weight. And then we're going to come back to mountain pose so you can feel neutral spine, and then lean forward, counter pose. And for this, there's more than one counter pose. So we're going to come up and do the other one. So fish pose. I'm going to push into the back of the chair, lift up through the heart. Find your shoulder blades coming together, lifting the chin a little bit, and then chin can drop down. Neutral spine. You can opt out if you don't want more core. If you do want more, we'll do our infinity symbols. So holding on to your imaginary weight. This time, sideways number 8 for an infinity symbol. And you get to decide how small or how large you want these to be. When you get back to your center, reverse your symbol. Good. All right, one more. Come back to the center. Release those arms. I was gripping my imaginary weight a great deal. All right, we're coming back to child's pose. Inhale to mountain. And then we'll go into fish pose. So lifting the heart, pushing down so we have little tent stake arms. Drop the chin, and come back to mountain pose. So let's go into our final twist. We're twisting to the right. Relax those shoulders, deepen the breath throughout the belly. So you feel everything moving and expanding with your inhale and softening with your exhale. Inhale back to your center and exhale to your other side. Inhale back to center. Good. And for our lean forward, we're going to take that pyramid pose. Just scooting back so you can see. Maybe my foot gets cut off. I never know on the video. So right leg's reaching straight forward. We're just going to flow a little bit. So exhaling, hinge forward. Inhaling, coming back up. So we're hinging right at the hip flexors with a straight spine. And this is not for everybody. So if you're feeling pulling or any pain, of course, in your low back, you're going to do less or skip it all together and maybe just enjoy the back of that leg stretching. So maybe we hold here. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. And we'll come up and hug that leg in. So we're still on the right leg. You can go back and forth with your knee. You can, if you don't want to go into pigeon, you can go back to the stretch. Stretching out the hamstrings is always nice. If you want to come into pigeon pose, ankle goes onto opposite knee. And get up nice and tall. Hinging forward only if you want to feel it a little bit more. Relax those shoulders. Relax your jaw and your face. Inhaling, coming back up. We're going to unfold that leg. And if you've had your legs stretched out, either way, we're going to massage the sides and the back of that knee. Okay, let's do our pyramid flow for the other side. So making sure, should have said this on the other side, that your stability ankle is right below your knee. The other leg stretching out, ankle, knee, hip on that same plane. Getting nice and tall and hinging forward and coming back up. So exhaling as you're leaning forward. Inhaling as you're coming up. Maybe you stay there and hold in the forward position. Keep pulling your toes back and make sure your knee is not locked. Come back up nice and tall. Bring that knee back and forth into the chest and away. So great stretch for the glutes, for the low back, and the digestive system. Alright, so pigeon time. If you pigeon on one side, you should pigeon on the other, unless you've had a hip replacement or any kind of issues with the hip that you're like, nope, not gonna do it. So we're getting deep into the hip socket. That's why we do pigeon every class. It helps with low back issues, sciatica, piriformis syndrome, they call it, I think, and a few other things. Of course, I'm not a doctor. I'm going on personal experience and things that I've read, and it feels really good. So we'll be here for a few more breaths and just soften into your face and your shoulders and your neck. We'll gently come back up and straighten that leg out. Massage the sides of the knee and the back of the knee. All right, and then we'll get somewhat comfortable in the chair. We'll do our self-massage, so get those hands warmed up. And start with your right leg, lightly brush stroking only up in the direction of your heart. Get the groin, the other leg, groin, the belly, low back, if you can reach it a little bit, and the arms. If you've had a lymphaectomy anywhere, please skip those parts. Armpit. Good. And the sternum. Take that tapping up to mohawk line to the tops of the ears a couple of times. I say couple, I mean 3, so we usually do 3. And thumbs find the base of the skull. All right. Peace fingers, sandwich your earlobes. Pointer goes right underneath that little earlobe, middle finger in front. Deepen the breath. Soften the pressure on your hands, on your jaw. So we're going to find the bottom of the jawbone, lightly brush stroke to the chin, down the front of your throat, to the heart. And you can settle down into your chair. You can relocate and lay down if you want. We're going into final resting pose / meditation. The whole reason why yoga was invented, right? So we can find stillness in the body comfortably while the mind quiets and stills. So just like we started, check in with the breath. Where is it? How's it feeling? With no expectations. Shift to breath connecting with your belly rising. Exhale, belly softening. See if you can relax the tongue off the roof of the mouth and soften between the eyebrows. And we'll just do a quick body scan. So when we're doing the body scan, just notice the parts of the body without thinking about changing anything. So we're just bringing awareness into the body. Starting with your face, your whole head. Keep that breath in the foreground. In the background, notice your neck, your shoulders, your arms. Notice your hands. Bring your awareness into your whole back, the front side of your body, the front side of your torso. Notice your glutes. Notice your hips, the length of your legs, throughout the knees and into the ankles. Become aware of your feet and all 10 toes. time to appreciate your breath traveling into all of your cells of your body on the inhale. On the exhale, imagine toxins leaving all of your cells. Stay with the breath just a few more moments. Slowly start to deepen the breath. Finding movement, wiggling fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. Pressing into the floor with your feet to lift those arms up nice and tall. Bringing the palms together down to heart center. Take a moment in gratitude for all your body and all that your mind has done for you. And a few other things if you want to bring in a little bit more gratitude. Thank you for taking time out of your day to practice your yoga. Namaste. And happy Diwali.